lot to get to. I'm very happy to be here sitting up, looking, actually being able to talk to people without people going, do you need something? You know, I do, and what I needed was this.
Yeah.
So. So, you know, things seemingly haven't changed much since I left because, once again, the person in the White House spent the weekend ranting on Twitter. Went after everybody from SNL to Mueller investigation to Meghan's dad. I mean, it's crazy. He claims that the new court papers prove last in the class McCain worked with Democrats to get a fake Steele dossier to the FBI and media before the election, since facts actually matter. Still, I'm happy to say, let's correct some of his fake, I'm not going to say anything bad, news. There's a couple of errors here. There's no evidence that he knew, that John McCain knew about the dossier before the election. That's a lie. That's not true.
He handed them over to the FBI after the election. Right.
And these are proven. The facts are there if anybody cares to look. And if you're still buying the stuff that you know, that you're not sure about, or that he's saying, you know, major parts of the dossier are verified, like regular contact between you-know-who's campaign and the Russians, and the Kremlin favoring, you-know-who, and targeting swing voters on his behalf. Look, this is a guy who's supposed to be running the country. Crazy stuff is happening in the world, and he's pissed off because he's watching a rerun of SNL?
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell? I mean, really, what is going on? What is happening? Dude, what are you doing? You're kind of like Howard Hughes. I'm going to watch your fingernails from now on. Because I think you're just not, you're missing the point of what your job is supposed to be. I don't understand. Maybe it's because, death became me. Okay? But I'm here, and I'm really annoyed that you haven't figured this out yet. And you're 2-3 years in?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Well,
Whoopi is back, everybody.
Sure.
Whoopi Goldberg is back.
Here's the thing.
No, speaking of the baby, I can just tell you, I was irate over the weekend. He was rambling. It was one of the lowest points, I think, for him. But it made me so sadly grateful that my child is too young to understand what's going on in this country. That I don't have to explain to her why our president is spending his time over the weekend tweeting this nonsense. I don't have to explain that to her, but how many parents out there do? How many families like yours have to go through this crap? Well, it really is sad.
He did tweet against John McCain, who passed away, unfortunately, not that long ago. It's a kind of a pathetic statement on his part, because when John McCain was getting the Silver Star, Trump was at his doctor's trying to get out of the draft with these alleged bone spurs. So let's start there.
Right.
And then on top of that...
About privilege.
Yeah. And on top of that, Lindsey Graham... I have a bone to pick with him. Because Lindsey Graham, I know he's your godfather or something.
No, you take all of this, Joy.
Lindsey Graham was John McCain's best friend, according to...
Joe Lieberman is.
And Joe Lieberman, number one. Lindsey, number two. Would we say that's about right?
3, 4.
Okay.
He was in the room.
Well, they were buds. They were bros. They were buds.
But go ahead.
And Lindsey, what he wrote is, as for John McCain and his devotion to his country, he stepped forward to risk his life for his country, true. Served honorably under difficult circumstances, true. And was one of, not just difficult, I mean, they tortured John McCain, and was one of the most consequential senators in the history of the body. Nothing about his service will ever be changed or diminished. He does not say the president is out of line. He doesn't say that it is a ridiculous thing to go after John McCain at this point. He does not say what you just said, which is that there are lies in the tweet.
Yes.
And I think that Lindsey Graham is making a huge error right now in believing that this man will ever back him up, because Lindsey is crawling to the president so that he can get reelected, and Trump is acting like a sadist towards Lindsey Graham, putting him between a rock and a hard place and saying, okay, bow to me even more now. Because what is Lindsey going to do? He wants to get reelected. He needs to find his testicularity now.
Yeah.
And go for it. That's what I have to say to Lindsey Graham.
I think that you handled yourself this weekend with so much class. And I really appreciated that, because you and I are very similar in the sense that I know people think we're different, but we're not that different, because if you come from one of mine, you're dead to me, and I'm coming after you. But I try to handle things with class and dignity. And the way this president is acting is so pathetic and beneath the dignity of this office that it was so offensive to me what he said about your father. But you responded and said, "No one will ever love you the way they loved my father. I wish I had been given more Saturdays with him. Maybe spend yours with your family instead of on Twitter obsessing over mine." And I thought,
Sonny.
That's how you do this.
Except nobody in his
Thank you,
family
Sonny.
wants to spend
Thank
time with
you.
him. That's the only problem.
Well, I appreciate it with all. It's uncomfortable for everyone because it's obviously about my father, and I'm your co-host, and I really appreciate these wonderful words. Listen, he spends his weekend obsessing over great men because he knows it, and I know it, and all of you know it. He will never be a great man.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And so my father was his kryptonite in life.
Yeah.
He's his kryptonite in death. On a personal level, I agree with you. All of us have love and families, and when my father was alive up until adulthood, we would spend our time together cooking, hiking, fishing, really celebrating life, and I think it's because he almost died. And I just thought, your life is spent on your weekends, not with your family, not with your friends, but obsessing over great men you could never live up to.
Yeah.
That tells you everything you need to know about his pathetic life right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, the
But
fact
I genuinely feel bad for his family. I can't imagine having a father that does this on the weekends.
Oh, they're all on the same page. Don't feel sorry for
Okay.
them.
well, I like to, you know, Tiffany's a great kid.
By all means,
You
take
know.
the floor.
Yeah.
I just, what
Tiffany's
really kind of knocked me out is how do you not recognize a rerun on TV that has sort of Christmassy stuff in it? And you know, one would think you watched this enough to recognize when you say this was on the last time, oh, they're trying to trick me. No, you buy into it. See, this is why I can't listen to anything you're saying. You don't know rerun when you see it, especially when it's about you, and you know you watch them.
So pathetic.
You know you watch these shows. So, sir, you know, get out the way so that people who actually love the country can do what they need to do. We'll be right back with more Hot Topics. So welcome back. Last Thursday, Beto O'Rourke threw his hat into the ring for 2020 election. He's starting out strong. He broke Bernie Sanders' one-day fundraising record by raising $6.1 million. Can he sustain this excitement? Hasn't said anything about policy yet, but, you know, I guess we celebrate when folks can raise a whole bunch of money. But, you know, where are you at? Because something I heard him say was he realized he was a guy with white privilege, and so he also felt he needed a female to run with him. Well, my question is, what makes you think she wants to be your vice president?
Great point.
Why did you think why would you think she needed you to do that? You know, you have to be careful with privilege like that because things slip out your mouth. So you got to really sort of clamp down before you open it and have foot inserted. I found that kind of kooky.
He had a few slips this weekend.
But he corrected himself on that. But
Yeah, but still.
I like him, but not enough to name a dog after him yet.
You know, actually, the money doesn't surprise me. I think a lot of politics is about how they make you feel. You know, take the policy out of it. Do you feel like you could like that person? Do you think? And Democrats are really faced with a choice. It's, do you vote for the person you like most? Do you vote for the person you think can get through the primary? Or do you vote for the person who you may not love, but you know that they are the one person that could probably beat Donald Trump in the general election?
That's the one.
Right? So, but I think that's why maybe Beto, and I'm not the biggest Beto fan at this point, but I think there are Democrats that feel like he's got this sort of rock star status similar to what Obama had early on, and maybe he could go up against Trump in a way different than
I
other
want somebody
candidates.
who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
tired of this kind of.
Well,
I
I'll tell you what he's done.
You know,
There's actually a website that's fundraising off of his gaffe, and it has the 4 women candidates running, and it says we were born to run, and born is X'd out, and it said work hard to run.
Yeah.
So I think this gaffe will follow him, and it really is. I don't use this all the time, but it really is white male privilege to be like, I was born to do this. If Hillary or Kamala or anyone had been on the cover of Vanity Fair saying I was born to do this, the media would be going insane right now against it.
I will say the guy that said he was born, in his mind, he's like, I'm supposed to be president one day. He was
That's
the epitome of this white bro. Like, it lasted about a week. And
Someone else who said that?
Like, I know these guys. Yeah.
Oh.
A guy that I dated, he literally said the same thing that Beto said. Of like, I was born to be president, one day I will be. And I was like, this is not going to work out. We're not meant to be together. But there are guys like that that believe
It's too soon for me to be excited about anyone, but I will say that he raised this $6.1 million in online donations from all 50 states
Yeah,
in
that's
one
okay.
day.
Pretty good.
So that's
That's
kind of
okay.
interesting that he seems to have this mass
that
appeal.
does not make him presidential material.
No.
Just because you can
Experience is
raise
important.
money, because listen,
Yeah.
we can get all kind of folks on raising money on,
Yeah.
But I just kind of feel like I never want to see what I've seen the last couple of years.
Oh.
I don't care what side of the aisle you on. This can't be your idea of the country.
Please,
Wait,
Lord,
can
no.
I just say in his
Yeah.
favor? First of all, he's coming on The View, so we can ask him a lot of different questions.
Oh yes, I'm sure we will.
Well, I heard it's confirmed. He spent 6 years in Congress. He introduced 65 bills. He believes in expanding veterans' access to mental health care. He had a measure in mandating that service members leaving the military service receive comprehensive mental health care, which would cut back on PTSD. Permanently protected the Kastner Range, so he's 7,000 acres of land surrounded by certain kind of mountains. So he's for the environment. He's for veterans' benefits. He's
They
on
all
the right
are.
track, the guy.
Everybody, I have to say, everybody is. All the folks that are running, all the Democrats are running, have the same MO, a great many of
Yes.
them. So the field is wide open.
It
I'm
is.
just saying, you can't assume that because you're good at fundraising, you're going to be
At
the
this
person.
point, Kamala's rollout was more seamless. She, in a lot of different ways,
so?
and she's not being given the same credit he is. And I think it does show a stigma in politics in a lot of different ways. And this is me, conservative on the panel, saying this, but she should be given the cover of Vanity Fair then too, because her rollout was more. He made a lot of gaffes this weekend that we don't need to go over, but it does seem like the media is giving him more credit than he deserves.
WMP. I'm sorry. He's not quite confirmed.
Oh.
So, Beto, don't let me put you off.
Come on,
Okay?
I need him.
Because if you really want to talk to people and tell us really what your plan is, so that you don't feel as flighty as you might feel to some folks, you want to come on The View. Because we will ask you the questions that people want to know, because that's why there's so many of us at the table.
I like him.
Later, Biden outs himself. The former vice president may have accidentally announced he's running in 2020. How President Trump's already in attack mode.
Welcome back. I have to tell you that when I read this, I thought it said, even if your finance cheats right before your wedding. And I thought, finance cheating on you? It's actually fiance. But that's where my head is at. Even if your fiance cheats right before your wedding, brides.com says it doesn't have to mean the marriage is up. They claim you have the right to take a breath and talk it out and see whether it was a one-time mistake, or are there levels of cheating that are happening here, or is there a zero-tolerance policy?
Well, I had a situation with an acquaintance.
She has a friend.
I have a friend.
You have a
We're not that
lot of
close.
friends.
But her now husband he had a bachelor party. There was a dancer, a stripper. He didn't have underwear on. She was naked. There was a lap dance. There was skin-on-skin contact. He grabbed her breasts, naked breasts, and they made out. There was a video of it. She was told, a group of us told her.
Yeah.
I was included. I assumed the wedding was not going to happen.
Shock of shocks.
They are still married.
Yes.
Joy says that wasn't cheating.
No. Well, it wasn't a,
No, both of you?
It wasn't emotional connection.
Yeah.
It was just some crazy, drunken, stupid idiot. I wouldn't marry him. I'm just saying. I'm not saying I would marry the guy.
I don't believe bachelor parties, things that happen at bachelor parties, things that happen at bachelorette parties. I don't think you can count that because when there's alcohol, weed, I'm going to do this because it's the last time this is going to happen. Crazy stuff happens. So either don't do it or know that boobs might be touched or a penis.
But there was like skin on skin.
Yeah, but he's still married to her.
It's obnoxious.
They're still married.
He sounds like a total
Hey,
moron,
you know what I would
whoever he
say?
is.
At least she knows. How many people don't know where their fiance was or what they were doing on their bachelor trip? Now I'm going to go home and my husband went to Mexico. I have all these questions that we probably didn't dissect.
You're still mad at him
But you
for
know what
going
I
to
probably would have
Mexico.
done? I probably would have gone to the fiance first and said, this is getting out there. She's going to find out. Why don't you handle this? Why don't you be a man about it? You tell her
How
what.
about mind your business? How about mind your business?
Yeah, there was
because
that, I guess.
they stayed married because it wasn't about that. It was about him doing crazy stuff on the bachelor party. Everybody gotta really take a minute. Leave social media alone. Mind your business.
What
You
was
are
his-
not in a relationship.
What was her response when you told her?
Drunken bachelor party.
Like
Who cares?
Mind your
Yeah.
business. That's what she said. We'll be right back. Have you ever freaked yourself out because you predicted something was going to happen and it happened? Oh my God. A psychic medium, Hillary Michaels, who runs a workshop for beginner psychic mediums, says it's because everyone has psychic abilities. What do you think? Wait, let me think.
I think it's a bunch of baloney. Because I had a friend who was a hairdresser, Frankie. And his name is Frankie. And he had answered an ad in the paper that said, "Are you good with people?" And he wrote yes. And the next thing you know, he was a psychic. Okay, I could predict that he would be a bad psychic. Right there, okay? I mean, it's just intuition. Everybody has a certain amount of it, you know, and it's
So
not...
zero training. If you're good with people, you could be a psychic.
That's
You
what it
can
said.
predict the
Yes.
future.
It's like you don't have to be qualified, kind of, you know, what's going
I've
on in this
wasted
country.
so much money over the years. I was told by 2 psychics that I would have a house full of boys and that my cat would die. I don't have a cat. I only have a daughter. I will never spend money on a
Why
psychic
did you go to
again.
a psychic?
I think there is something exciting about just kind of wanting to know.
Yeah.
It's nerve-wracking.
I'll do it for you.
I actually trust you more.
I believe in it.
You
Yeah.
do?
That's
Absolutely.
ridiculous, Sonny. You're a lawyer. You're an intelligent woman. What are you talking
No,
about?
I believe in it. I believe in
Oh,
it.
my God.
And there are different types. There are psychics, there are mediums, and there are empaths.
What's an empath?
Don't
Well,
you think
empaths
some
is a
people have
person who's
gifts, though,
empathic.
in
That's-
one way or
Yeah,
another?
Yes.
I do believe some people have gifts, and I will say this is going to sound a little, just bear with me. So in Sedona, where I love more than any place on the planet, there's this thing called the Vortex. And it's the Red Rock, Bell Rock, Airport Mesa, and Boynton Canyon. And it's a place of concentrated energy rising from the earth. They're all over the planet. And some believe that vortexes are a portal for celestial and terrestrial spirits. And I will tell you, whenever I'm having chaos in my life and I cannot get myself together, if you go spend time in Sedona, this is a message for all of you, you will feel better. I don't know if it's the Red Rock energy. I don't know if it's just, you know, psychosemantic at this point. But it is a magical place.
Yeah.
And I think if any of you are stressed out there, I think there are rehabs there and things like that.
Well, this
because
is like-
it's healing.
Will they welcome
This
Trump?
reminds me of the
No,
story.
Trump isn't welcome in Sedona.
This reminds me of what you were talking about with Beto. Now you can tell your story
With
about
what?
him. After
Well, you
he
actually
lost...
can't because you got to
know-
rap.
Oh,
you got
that's a
30
tease.
seconds.
No, this actually, see, go ahead. No, gotta go? Gotta go. Right now?
Kids, we'll be back.
All right, we'll be back.
Tomorrow, former U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara on getting fired by the Trump administration and who he thinks is going down after Mueller's big reveal. Plus, newlywed Priyanka Chopra Jonas on her epic wedding to Nick Jonas and getting game-changing women to dish on the secrets to their success.
The iconic prosecutor in O.J. Simpson's Trial of the Century explores some awfully familiar territory as co-creator and executive producer of her riveting new courtroom drama, The Fix. And with all the legal hot topics happening right now, we have a lot to talk about. Please welcome my friend, Marcia Clark. We have to start with with legal hot topics, and we were just talking at the break, like the college admissions scandal, which both of us are obsessed with.
Yeah.
You've got these rich and powerful parents, including actresses Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin. They paid to get their kids into top schools. Both have already been arrested. The question is, will they serve time? Will they really go to prison?
I think it's very unlikely.
Really?
Yeah, I know. I don't want to upset you. Let's ask another question. But it's very unlikely. Yeah, of course, it's not a matter of whether they did right or wrong. We know they did wrong. But what these kind of crimes are, they're white-collar crimes, they're paper crimes, so to speak, if you will, and typically they don't do a lot of jail time or any jail time. You should also know that Felicity Huffman did less than others, so the judge is going to look at that too, like how much did you do? And
Should that matter, though? I mean, they still committed the act.
They did commit the act, but really how much you do does matter. You know, how many millions? But bigger picture, let's talk about the fact that we all know that a lot of kids got into these Ivy League schools because daddy bought a wing, or daddy donated all this money, or daddy is an alum, right?
That's different.
It's different. Well, it's legal, but it's still influence peddling. Now, this is worse. Don't get me wrong. I'm not clutching my pearls
They had
and going,
somebody take the test for them.
Yes, they had someone and pretend to be on the rowing crew.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, they photoshopped their face on somebody else's body. I mean, it's ridiculous what they did. There's so many things wrong with this, but let me just talk about one of them. Okay. A lot of these better high-paying jobs for kids out of school, Google, Microsoft, Apple, they won't even consider a kid who has not graduated from an Ivy League school. Now think about all the highly deserving kids who graduated from state schools and community college or whatever.
That's on Apple. That's on them.
But it is on them. But I want them to look at this
But how is it
and
legal to
realize
say
they're
you
passing
go to
by
Ivy
some
League
really good
school?
people.
That seems illegal. How could you say you went to whatever ASU instead of Harvard? You can't work.
It's not illegal. They
How
can
is
do
It's
that
whatever
not
they
illegal.
want.
They
It
can.
should be.
No, believe me, I've always been. I really agree. I mean, I just think it's terrible that they're not looking at the merits of the children who graduate from state schools, who are really qualified, hard workers. But mom and dad don't have the money for a Harvard, or to donate a wing or to buy their way in. The inequities go on and on and on and on. It's not just the school they get into; it's the school they graduate from. There's a huge inequity here, and we're talking about income inequality.
That's right.
Well, and I went to a state school and I did okay. But let me ask you this. But it seems to me, you know, Martha Stewart went to prison because they made an example out of her. But it seems to me that perhaps they will make an example out of these women, and that example would speak volumes.
But it's not fair. There's 500 of them or so, right?
Oh yeah.
So why should they make an example out of Felicity Huffman just because she's famous? That's not fair either.
See, that's exactly my point. They are ragging her in the press constantly because she's the famous one, but by no means is she the one who did as much as anybody else practically.
That's
so
right.
if you're going to make an example of somebody who really went out there. What about that guy, the tennis pro, who was the one who was working actively to defraud by saying this kid, that kid, this kid, I'm going to recruit from.
Well, they should lose their careers at the very least. I mean, so let me talk about another topic.
Yes, we know it's guilt. Yeah.
I think we do have to get to the show, though, because that is like the main reason you're here. It's an incredible show. I watched it over the weekend. You're the co-creator, executive producer. It's called The Fix. Tell people about the plot.
So it was basically my origin story. A prosecutor in Los Angeles loses a high-profile case and then leaves the DA's office. That's where it departs and goes into complete fiction, because Maya Travis, who plays the prosecutor, played by Robin Tunney, goes up to Washington State, where she gets to start this horse farm that's beautiful, and she has a boyfriend, a gorgeous cowboy. All of this is fantasy. Sounds like one. It is. It's mine. And then 8 years later, her former trial partner says, "You got to come back. We think he killed again." And they bring her back to Los Angeles, and she comes back reluctantly to see if she can bring him to justice.
And we have a clip of that moment you're talking about. Let's play it.
Are you back there, Maya? You're never gonna get me, Maya. I'm an innocent man.
Ooh, so good.
It did remind me a little bit of the O.J. Simpson that you were co-writer
for.
Yeah, it's not. And Adewale Agbaje is the lead there. He is so riveting. He's mesmerizing. He's amazing. So he plays a British actor, a British movie star, who's been in this country for 20-some-odd years, very famous, very beloved. So we take it away from the whole Simpson thing. And really, the case is not at all Simpson. It's a fictional telling. But this is a roller coaster ride behind the scenes. It's not a courtroom drama at all. We hardly ever go to court. Because what we wanted to do, when I'm talking about Sarah Fain and Liz Kraft, who are the co-creators and showrunners, we decided we're going to do the behind the scenes, the things you don't usually see, all the machinations between all the parties. So we go home with the defendant, Sebi Johnson, played by Adewale. We go home with Robin Tunney, who plays the prosecutor, and with the defense attorneys, played by Scott Cohen. And the defense attorney is a wily character I think you're going to really enjoy. But it's all of the behind the scenes stuff and the ways they manipulate each other and, you know, society and social media. We'd throw that in there too. And I promise you that we will tell you the end of the story in episode 10. You will get all the answers. This is not one of those we're going to drag out because we don't have the attention span. So I don't like when people do that. So we're going to pay it off.
Did you happen to catch R. Kelly's interview with that crazy behavior of his with Gail
I sure
King?
did.
What'd you think of that?
I think, honestly, I think it was a bad acting job. I think he was really trying to act outraged and how dare you and how could you. I think we can dare because so many of these young women have said the same thing. Gail made the point and made it well. All these different women who don't know each other are telling the same story, and the story is bizarre. This is not the kind of thing where he just, you know, he grabbed my butt. You know, okay, that's kind of generic. It's happened to all of us, or many. They're talking about being held captive.
Yeah.
They're talking about bizarre behavior. You're not allowed to brush your teeth without permission. I mean, who can make this up?
Yeah.
And so underage girls.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Aaliyah.
Again,
Yeah.
you know, he's denied all of the allegations, but
I
He is
didn't
it.
ask one question, but I just have to tell you, I absolutely love the People versus OJ and Sarah Paulson and you and everything, and it was like one of the best shows I've ever seen.
It was.
I had to say,
and
it
we
was
all,
incredible.
I mean,
Yeah.
we adore you.
Yes.
Our thanks to Marsha Clark. The Fix premieres tonight at 10 p.m. right here on ABC. Please check it out. We'll be right back.